What do you think really sets you apart and your business apart from the rest?
In the permitting industry, it's just not me, it's a team. But in business, I think that my personality, my intellect, my integrity.
Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast. My name is Oscar. I'm the host of the show, president and founder of John Bell Construction. Today we have Jeff Diego. He's the principal and owner of 305 Permit Running, somebody that we use here at John Bell Construction. And there's so much about permitting in the city of Miami, Miami-Dade County, South Florida, honestly, in general, that there's like so much unknown. Sometimes people don't even realize that you even need to permit things. And I think it's important for people like you that are really experts in what it is permitting and all the municipalities to be on the show, for people to really understand what's happening, why do things take so long, and really why things are in place. So I really appreciate you being on the show.
Happy to be here.
And you also watch the show every once in a while.
I do watch the show. I share the link. I'm really excited.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I know that you always give me good feedback. But let me ask you something. What does it mean to permit something? Like, teach people, what does it mean to have a permit and to permit something?
Okay, so a permit is something that your local government will give you as the property owner to be able to do some sort of construction project, addition, alteration, something that's permanent to the property.
That's it? That's as simple as that?
Yeah. It's well, the word is permit. So they permit you to do the work.
So why is it so hard? If it's something so simple, why is it so hard to open a permit in Miami?
Okay, so...
And not just city of Miami, I'm talking about South Florida in general.
A number of reasons. Sometimes there's the building department that can be inefficient in terms of processing paperwork. It could be that the architect that the client has brought into the project delays things from making simple mistakes over and over and over again. And it could be delayed from hiring a permit runner who is your nephew, and you give him the plans and it sits in his car for 2 weeks and you don't know how to check your permit status, and it gets delayed from that.
I don't think that people really understand the process of getting something to permit. Now we understand what it is to have a permit, but a lot of people call the office and they want to maybe build something, and they call us first. Can you explain to people exactly the process in which you need to do to get a permit, and what needs to be permitted?
Okay. So anything that's permanent to your house needs to be permitted. So your AC change out, you get a new AC unit, that's a permit. You get solar panels, that's a permit. You build an addition, that's a permit. You install a shed on your property, that's a permit. Let's take, for instance, building a new house. If you build a new house, you're going to need to hire a surveyor to draw the property, property lines, setbacks, all that. You're going to need to hire an architect who does the architectural plans. That architect's then going to hire an engineer to do the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural components of the house. And then once we have all of that, we're going to need a contractor who's licensed by the state of Florida to sign the permit application along with the property owner so that we can then submit to the building department.
So just to be clear, any project you said a house needs an architect or an engineer to create drawings. Like
90% of the work that we do has an architect. The only ones that don't are the really small, simple projects like your AC changeouts or minor electrical work. But those permits are pulled by a licensed contractor. So they're the ones who have the qualifications from the state of Florida.
I just don't think that people really understand that you need an architect or an engineer to create a set of drawings, like blueprints, like they say, to be able to actually construct. I think to me, it's kind of crazy, but we're obviously in this industry.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand that if you ever want to do anything, you want to do a medical facility, even on the residential side, you need an architect or engineer to create a full set of drawings that are essentially like our blueprints, and our instruction manual, how to build this.
Yeah.
Without that, they would not allow a permit to be issued.
Yep, correct.
That's crazy to me that a lot of people don't know, but I think it's important that we teach them.
They don't know that. And I get calls all the time. Every day I get a call for, oh, do you have an architect? Do you have an engineer? And we have people we can refer them to. But right now, the stage of my company, we're only 5 years in. We have a great team, but we don't have an in-house architect or an in-house engineer that we can just say, oh yeah, we'll be a full service expediting company.
Well, soon we will.
Yeah, soon we will. Like, we're really good at submitting things, processing them, pushing them along, setting expectations for when the permit will be issued. But a lot of homeowners have been calling, Jeff, do you have an architect? And we can make referrals, but I have that conversation all the time. They don't know they need an architect for their addition, or for their legalization or whatever they have going on.
How can people get around from permitting? Like, how can they? Because everybody wants to do things, without a permit in Miami-Dade County.
Oh yeah.
How can we get away with that?
Okay. So
that's a trick question.
Okay. So Lil Wayne says, "Be good or be good at it." Okay. So if you're going to do work without a permit, it needs to be not visible from the outside of your house. You need to be really discreet when you're doing your kitchen remodel without a permit, or your bathroom without a permit. And when you do get caught, do not call 305 Permit Runner for that. I hate doing legalizations.
Yeah.
For our company, we do everything on the up and up. I hate doing legalizations when we do them. It's because the work is to a quality that it actually can receive a permit. They just cheaped out on the front end and they got caught. And we're doing it because it's an existing client or a family friend.
Yeah.
And that's always a nightmare because it's...
And the permit fees are double if you ever get caught.
They're double. They're double. Yeah.
I think what happens is when people do work without a permit, there's a few things that happen. You kind of skip this system that's in place for a reason. Number one is that you have an architect or an engineer or both really design something on how it should be done. Sometimes people think, no, this architect is over designing it or they're doing a bunch of stuff. And the reality is, no, they're not. They're just doing it exactly how it should be.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of houses catch fire. A lot of buildings have issues. And a lot of those issues can be prevented when you really hire architects and engineers to design the work how it should be. Number one, that's number one. Number two, I feel that when we do things without a permit, it doesn't allow for you to hire the contractor that you really need to hire.
Correct.
So you hire these fly-by-nights.
I call them fulano. He's your friend's uncle or someone's cousin, and he can do it cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really dangerous in the sense where you're hiring somebody that's not very skilled, somebody that's not very organized, probably doesn't have insurance, workers' comp, or general liability.
No.
So they haven't gone through these steps that are in place to make sure that ultimately, which is the reason for the building code, is to protect the people and the people that inhabit these buildings. So I think it's really important for people to really realize, number one, is that they need to hire an architect. Sometimes architects aren't as expensive as people think. There's different skills of architects, and then when you have that, you can have people like you that could really push these things along, no?
Yeah. Well, and then also once the permit is issued, having the inspections are so important because even if the contractor has integrity and they're very intelligent, people make mistakes. And so when there's an inspection, the inspector from the local building department goes out and he scrutinizes the work. They look for any sort of reason to deny something that might work, but it's not necessarily to code. And that's important because even the best contractors can
we fail
make
inspections all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing work wrong. It's just that maybe we miss something.
Yeah.
It's just a set of eyes. Sometimes we're on that job and it's like you can't tell the difference between the tree and the forest.
Yeah, and also your guys are out there. It's hot. They're sweating. They're exhausted. They're getting dehydrated, and they're drinking Gatorade to rehydrate them. But I know that when I've sat for inspections or when I've been on job sites, it wears you down.
Yeah. You just get tired sometimes. And we're not just managing the actual physical work, but we're also managing these personalities in the field.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that it is, to actually run a job, and it's always good to have a set of eyes. We always tell the inspector, go down. I really want you to make sure that that this work is done properly. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility that that the building work the way it was designed to be.
Yeah. Well, I tell people, when I was in college and I would have to write papers, I would always have somebody proofread my paper
Exactly.
before I submitted it. Yeah. That's what the inspector is. The inspector is the proofreader who's gonna, go through the work that you've labored over, you worked really hard on, and they're gonna make sure that it's done. They take it to the next level.
Jeff, that was great, bro. You killed it on that one.
Thank you.
Did a great job.
I've been thinking about that a lot, because this is my industry,
Yeah, I've never seen it like that, and I think that's a great way. When do you think, or why do you think it's so arduous to why is it so arduous in this South Florida region to get a permit? Like, why is it so difficult for even for us? Like, why do you think that is?
Okay, so different reasons. It could be the architect is very, very slow in terms of cranking out corrections. And the architect doesn't do all the plans himself. He'll bring in an engineer to do, the engineering part of the permit.
So the architect essentially is like the general contractor on the design side.
Correct.
So we, as a general contractor, hire the electrician. Mm-hmm. We hire the plumber, we hire the AC guy, we hire the roofer, we hire the structural guy, we hire civil guy, all these components, but we're still, let's say, in charge. The architect is very similar to that.
Correct, yeah, because he's bringing in a mechanical engineer, plumbing engineer, electrical one, structural engineer, civil engineer. So he's got to hire all these people. So sometimes, if one of those people, just doesn't, complete their corrections. That can delay the project. Another thing is it could be the cities themselves. Now, Miami-Dade County, we have a lot of cities that are doing phenomenal. They're doing great. City of Miami was the first one that moved to online permitting back in 2018. It was very difficult at first because you have all these people like myself who they had been doing permits for like 20, 30 years. And now, you're telling me I have to get a computer? I have to open a PDF. What's a PDF? What's that? And so there was a learning curve with that for myself and other people in the industry. But now it's a much more efficient system.
But not everybody is, which is I think the main reason I even asked the question. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is completely digital.
No.
And there's such a difference between what one municipality does and the other, and there's no continuity between any of them.
Yeah.
And just the learning curve that everybody has to go through, depending on what municipality you're working in. So can you talk about that and the inconsistencies between all of them?
Okay, so most building departments, they will not choose to go to online permitting themselves. It takes the city manager, it takes the city commission to force the building department to do that by passing a resolution or ordinance to make the building department move to online permitting, because it also costs money. The infrastructure for all of these guys who who used to review paper plans, now they have to get big HD monitors for them to be able to zoom into the plans. They have to learn the technology. They have to get some sort of like encrypted signatures for approving the plans. So there is like a lot of money that goes into it. So city has to decide that the permitting process is worth it to go digital. And there are some cities in South Florida where you cannot even check the status of a permit online. So we submit paper, and then we call, and they don't pick up. So then we call again, and they don't pick up. So we call again, and then we physically send someone there.
It's just ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There's one city that even for my simple permits, we charge at an hourly rate, because we know that a simple AC changeout or simple rooftop solar permit, we're going to be putting 15, 20 hours over the course of 2 months to get the permit issued.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the right way. I think it's not fair, honestly, to the homeowner, to the business owner, to the constituent, honestly, to not even to the contractors.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow for the economy to move. There's so much price escalation. Prices go up and down. People give the price, and by the time there's the permit is issued, that price is invalid.
Yeah.
It's the lack of organization within the municipalities. I think it's detrimental to our industry, to our economy, and ultimately even to the business owners, because we have a project that we're doing together. This project in the permitting has been so difficult that this person might not even be able to even stay in business. They might have to even sell the property that they bought for their business. Like, people just can't float 2 years worth of mortgage because the permitting process is inefficient.
Because it's paper, and you're gonna have to. It's gonna have to sit on 12 different people's desks.
So talk to us about that. Go real, really explain to people the difference between an online system and a paper system.
Okay. So when you do a permit, like a new construction home or something commercial, where you're doing maybe like a tenant improvement or an addition to a commercial building, like 12 different people are going to review it from the building department. And so if it's paper, it's going to sit on people's desks for weeks. For weeks, my guy. Okay? Whereas if it's an online permit, it's going to sit in the building department a month, and everybody will have reviewed it by that time. Some cities, 2 weeks. I submit something to Miami-Dade County today. I get a process number. 2 weeks, I have a full review cycle. So everybody's reviewed it, and even if there's denial comments, it's not the end of the world, because I know when I submit my corrections, 2 weeks later, I'm either going to have approval or I'm going to have less denial comments than I had the first time around. So I love online permitting, not just because I don't have to physically send somebody there, but I most of our big projects, we charge hourly anyway. So I make less money when it's an online permit, but I prefer it because it's a lot easier for the business owner. It's a lot easier for the contractor. And at the end of the day, that's where my loyalties lie. My loyalties lie to the contractor as well as to the property owner. And when there's inefficiencies, I've had a time where we've made a mistake, where we haven't uploaded a file. We were never with you, by the way. We're always perfect with you. Where we've left out a file. And there's a 2 week delay. It tears me up.
Because the review process can't end. We can't resubmit into the review process.
You have to wait. So, we're to the point now in our business where we have checklists. So, every online submittal, it's going to take us like 2 hours to do, because we're looking at each comment. We're looking at the plans to make sure that those comments are addressed. And we're making sure that all of the pages that were given to us by the architect, we do have them in the folder before we upload, and everything's named properly. So,
I just answered my own question. You had asked you, why is it so difficult for someone to get a permit? Well, there's things where people hire the wrong people, and it might be the municipality. I also feel like a lot of people have no idea what you're saying right now. Like, to them, it's so foreign. And they have to go through such a learning curve. And one of the main reasons that I brought you really on the show is I want for people to realize that you have already gone through those learning curves. That for a relatively small fee, you can expedite and you can, maneuver this permit to get approved in a way where it's not like you go to. People think that a permit runner, permit expediter brings like cafecito to the lady at the front desk and brings her flowers and like, oh, let's prioritize. No, that's not what it is. It's literally just moving obstacles out of the way, making sure that you follow up, making sure that you actually do what you're doing, because that's really what you do. Is that what you? Would you agree to that? Yeah.
We make sure that we submit properly, and then we follow up if it's taking a little longer than what we think is the standard for that city. And so we have so much volume. Like, I know that if I submit something to the city of Miami and it's electrical, I know how long that's going to take. So if it goes longer than that, there's an indicator in the system that we use that review has gone over, and so we need to give that personal touch.
So what exactly do you think that is your main focus as a permit runner? Well, first of all, what do you even consider yourself?
Okay, so I have historically considered myself a permit runner. Now I'm considering myself more as a business owner or a business runner, because a lot of permit running companies, it's one person and they call themselves the CEO, and it's just them. And so they don't, in that scenario, which that was me for several years, They're not a business owner; they're a job owner. Like they own their own job. So the business owner is someone who their business can exist without them. They can go on vacation and work still gets done. I read a book on called E-Myth Revisited, and it was one of the most painful books I've ever read. I read it a year ago, and it was so painful because if I had read it when I started the company, all the mistakes I made the first 3 years I wouldn't have made. So now I'm to the point where we have permits that my company processes that I don't have any interaction with them because we received the order through our system. One of my guys starts generating permit apps. He acquires the signatures, does the notarization. Someone else does the submittal. Someone else tracks it in the system. When it gets approved, they pay for it, get it issued. It goes to someone else. They print it, they deliver it, and then someone else invoices. So I'm viewing myself as a business owner. I still do permit processing, and I'll do the expediting for things that absolutely have to happen. I'll show up because just because, if I go to a building department and I can't get it done and I get the no, I feel way better than if I had sent one of my other guys.
Yeah.
And my other guys are great. You've met some of them. You've met Seth and Eduardo, and they're great. But if it's something that absolutely has to happen, I'll go myself. But for the most part, I'm trying to improve my systems in my company, and then so that we can deliver an amazing service for people.
How does that make you feel, Jeff?
It makes me feel great. I did a 7-day cruise in March. And I got paid as if I had been working that whole week, and I got no emergency phone calls.
Because you've gone through it, like
yeah,
like I feel like just knowing your story, like you really were in the trenches for so long.
Yeah,
and and it's hard to get to that point. Not every business gets to that point, and people feel that that when you get to that point that the business provides a worse service, and it's like nothing further than the truth. I feel that the second that I got the ability to be able to do other things and allow people to be to really lead in those capacities is where I felt like John Bell Construction really, really set themselves apart, because it allowed for not just one resource to serve the client, but 50 resources.
Yeah, a whole team, Yeah.
So. What do you think is the biggest issue you're facing right now getting permits?
Okay, well, with you in particular, paper plans. I hate them so much. They're big, they're heavy, they kill trees, and it takes way longer. It takes so much longer. And then when we submit for a permit, a lot of times it's signed by the contractor, but it's always signed by the property owner. And that's someone who's either paid for that property in full, or most of them, they have a mortgage. And if they're leasing, then they have a set period of time where they don't have to pay rent. It could be 3 months or 6 months, however they've negotiated it. And so once that time is up, then they have to start paying rent. And if the permit is delayed because we've only gone through one review cycle or 1.5 review cycles, they start paying rent on a business they have not opened yet.
Yeah, they're just spending money.
Yeah.
And then we still have to build it.
Yeah. So they've spent all this money, but before we've broken ground. So
one of the things that we were doing before was that we weren't using you. We were running our own permits, and we still run some of our own permits. But we've realized that time is really of the essence lately, and we need our clients to kind of like open up and get things going. And we've realized that hiring someone like you is like, it's almost like a no-brainer, because if you really figure out, let's say the job is delayed by 3 months, it's $1 million loan at whatever interest rate you're getting at. Think about just the delay that you have by not hiring a permit runner, when you could have paid somebody hundreds of dollars. You've literally spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in interest payments just because your construction was delayed.
Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, our whole service is less expensive than usually what they're paying a month.
Yeah.
So if the permit's delayed 3-4 months because, they hired an architect and the architect's like, oh, I can run the permit myself, and then they drop the ball on it, which I've seen that before because we take over projects all the time that someone else has submitted, and we gain access to the process number and the whole thing, and there's a paper trail of when things have been submitted. And I can look to see when it was digitally signed and sealed by the designers and when it was submitted. And
a gap.
Like, what is this gap?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's Neo the Enya, right?
Yeah. That's the Enya. Yeah. Well, I'm a Italian guy.
People think you're Cuban.
Well, yeah. Well, part of it is just being born and raised in Miami. My wife is a Cuban. My father-in-law is Cuban. He reminded me of the Scarface guy when we first started dating. When I was dating his only daughter. Oh, wow. Very, very, very intimidating, Rolando. But But I love the Cuban culture, and I tell people if I ever went to prison, that would be the gang I joined. I'd be with the Hispanics because, like, I'm a white guy, Italian, Irish guy. It's a lot of Hispanics. I'm white, but yeah, like I don't watch NASCAR. I don't believe wrestling's real. I don't like country music. I say dale. I say, and in building departments, Miami-Dade County, it's predominantly Hispanic, and so all of my mentors growing up were Cuban refugees, for the most part, right, or the children of Cuban refugees. So I have more in common with the Cuban culture than I do the Irish or the Italian culture.
With McGregor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have his anger sometimes.
Yeah.
So
you seem like such a nice guy sometimes.
I know.
Let's talk about your comedy because I didn't even think about it, but so you're a comedian, right?
I'm an open micer, so I'm not to the point in which I'm getting calls to do stand-up comedy. But yeah, I do that. I do that on the side. I like it because I like making people laugh. So and we live in a really dark. There's a lot of darkness in the world. There's so much light. There's so much that we can be thankful for. But I really do like making people forget about what's going on.
My face hurts, honestly, because you're always making me laugh.
Oh, thank you.
I wish you could say something right now. Do you think? Yeah. Do you have an open like if you like let's say it's open mic?
Yeah.
You have an opener.
I like my coffee like I like my women from impoverished Latin American countries. Cuba, come away.
Come away.
Come away.
Taylor, do you have the rapid fire questions? Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I'm done.
Because my wife is Cuban. Oh, I like women. My woman, like I like my coffee. Just my wife. Yeah.
Jeff, we're gonna go into rapid fire here, and then we're gonna keep going. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious. But he has an open mic night. There's days that we should put it like in the YouTube description or something. There's days that you really go and you're up there and you're letting it rip.
Yeah. I'll do.
How's it going? How's it up there? Because I consider myself sometimes a comedian.
Yeah.
And with our group of friends, we've been wanting to do like a talent show, and when we do it, mine's gonna be a comedy skit. I have everything completely ready.
Talk to me before you do it. I can give you some pointers. Yeah. Because the first time I went up, I
have some in my head. They're hilarious.
Yeah. Are they jokes like two lines set
no, they're
up
like,
and then
let's say
punchlines?
let's say we're on a plane and we're there's turbulence and boom, the plane falls. Do you think me and you were drowning? We're really gonna remember what the lady was saying at the beginning of the show, and if I have to put my mask on before yours, so that's where we're at. Is that bad? Am I a terrible comedian? All right, let's go to rapid fire.
There's something that we'll work on the punchline for you.
Okay, but I think I need to prepare it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was one of them. I'm not... All right, here we go. Rapid fire. Favorite sports team?
Wow. I have a least favorite sports team.
Perfect. Give me that one.
Florida Gators.
Oh, wow.
Florida Gator, because my father-in-law.
Yeah. Best place to watch a game?
I like watching games at houses. Someone's house. Yeah.
If you were to go to their house, what do you bring?
Okay, Super Bowl Sunday, I brought a big plate of ribs.
Oh, nice. You cook?
Yeah. Oh, I love cooking. Of course, look at me. Yeah, I cook, bro.
Your go-to drink?
Oh, whiskey, neat. So, or maybe with a large ice cube.
Oh, wow. Sunsets or sunrises?
Sunsets.
Oh, it's beautiful. Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
What's your late night snack, Jeff?
I don't know, because I can't drive anywhere late night. So something with chocolate in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you like a good dark chocolate?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
With a glass of milk, whole milk. So
Are you busy between December 24th and December 26th? By any chance? You might be Secret Santa.
for cleave me?
Huh?
For cleave me?
Yeah.
Cleave me?
Yeah, medically.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Jeff, what do you think is important for people to really understand about construction and permitting in this city?
That
The nitty-gritty.
nitty gritty. Okay. I want people to know that they should permit stuff and that they should hire a contractor who's actually licensed, not a handyman. I once had someone out of state say, do you know any handyman who can help me with this project? No, I don't. I know zero handyman. I know many general contractors who can do a good job for you and take care of this really expensive house that you just bought. But yeah, to do permits with licensed contractors who have good reviews, who have a good reputation. Google is so important because you can see, you can see their ratings. It's very democratic. So like if a contractor has like a 1-star review or a 2-star review, that should be very concerning, especially if you're going to give them a 20% deposit or 50% deposit. So I would say make sure that they're licensed, make sure that they have good social media reviews, Google reviews.
Yeah, it's great advice.
Yeah. Also, don't pay them in full until the job is done. Because I've seen a lot of people who they pay the architect in full or the permit runner in full or the contractor in full, and then they just disappear.
So people don't pay you in full until you actually get them the permit?
Correct. Well, so I have different pay schedule. So we always receive some sort of deposit. But some projects that are way more complicated because of the city or the architect, and we're submitting 3-4 times, then we usually receive the remainder of our fee, the second, 50%, and then we operate on a weekly basis for our, and we track our hours at that point in time to be approved by the contractor as well as the business owner. So. And so we're still having to work on the project, but by that point in time, the owner already knows me. They know our integrity. Yeah.
How do you even get into this business, Jeff?
Wow. Okay. So my last year of college in 2014, 2015, I was looking for a job. My friend's dad started a solar panel company, and I had known his dad for many years. So I asked him for a job. I just wanted summer job installing solar panels. And he's like, Jeff, you know computers and you have good handwriting, so you're going to do permits instead. And I said, Raul, what's a permit? And so he's like, show up, go to this address with me on Monday. So he took me to the Cutler Bay Building Department and he showed me what a permit app was, what a notary was, what plans were. And then he hired me on the spot. And I've done every permit for that gentleman since 2014.
Look at that.
Yeah. And then from there, so I was working for him, and then I got a job at part-time, and then I got a job at Habitat for Humanity of Greater Miami in 2018. And that's where I learned how to do not just the solar permits, which is like electrical, structural, roofing, but I learned how to permit a house. And then I was doing that for 2 years while still doing solar. And then I realized that if I hired one person to do one air conditioning permit, to run one air conditioning permit for me, they could do all of my solar work that day. So they would run that air conditioning permit. I'd get paid for that. And then they would go to Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest, South Miami, none of which had online permitting at the time. And so they would do all of my solar work. so I could just focus on the Habitat homes.
Wow.
And then from there, I just kept getting more and more business. So then I incorporated, ended up leaving Habitat. Great company, great organization. I love them so much. I talk to them still probably weekly.
Wow.
Because I got one of my friends hired. He was my replacement, and I trained him, and he'll still call me.
You did good by them.
Oh, yeah. They did good by me. I did good by them. And people that have been there for me when I've needed them, I will always be there for them. Like, if Karen Wright from Habitat for Humanity, if she calls me, I'd pick up. Or if Mario, the CEO of Habitat Miami, he gives me a call. If I'm in a meeting, I'll pick up. Hey, Mario,
you
what's
leave
up?
this podcast right now?
I would. Well, my phone's on silent, airplane over there. But I would. If I saw it, I'd be like, hey, what's going on? What do you need?
That's great.
So,
what do you think sets yourself apart, Jeff, from other? I would say other permit runners, but just other businessmen in our industry, specifically, what you do, obviously. But what do you think really sets you apart and your business apart from the rest?
Okay. In the permitting industry, it's just not me, it's a team. But in business, I think that my personality, my intellect, my integrity. When I started doing permits, I was in seminary. So I was going to school to be a minister. And I have my bachelor's from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. So my undergrad degree is in Christian ministry. I was a pastor for many years before I went into business. And so although I'm not preaching the gospel every day, those principles still apply. Like the principles that we need to walk in a manner worthy of our calling. The principle that every human being is made in the image and likeness of God with dignity, value, and worth. And any individual that I encounter who will frustrate me, who will make my day miserable, like Jesus died for that person. Like the God of the universe hung on the cross and bled and died so that that person can be forgiven. Like the love of God was poured out for them, just like it was poured out for me. So we don't hold grudges. We don't get bitter when people try to screw us over or not pay us or anything like that. Like it hurts, and we've set things up so that we do get we
avoid those issues.
Yeah. So that we avoid those issues. But yeah, I guess me and my team set us apart from other people.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We had Jeff Diego from 305 Permit Running try to explain the process of what it is to have a permit. Why do we need a permit? Why is it so difficult to get a permit? Why is it so important to get a permit? And honestly, what a permit runner, a permit expediter really does. And I hope that if you guys ever have a question and anything that has to do with permitting, that you reach out to them. At the end of the day, the reason that this show episode really exists is so that you can understand that to build your business and to renovate your home, maybe whatever it might be, requires a permit, and that those systems are in place for a reason. They're there to really protect you and your family and your employees in those spaces. So it's not worth taking the shortcut when you have people like John Bell Construction and 305 Permit Running that really are here to serve you, help you in any way possible. So reach out to us if you need any questions, and reach out to Jeff as well. We really appreciate you being part of the show.
Thank you.
This show is meant for you also, and if this show is something that has impacted you any way or the other, please subscribe. It makes a big difference. The more subscribers, the bigger the show, the bigger the guests, and the bigger impact that we can make in our community. So please subscribe, share it to people, comment, give us your feedback. But just know that this show is here to serve you and to hopefully make our community a better place. See you on the next one.